Oh, good evening, everyone. Good evening, HK and Overcoming Victory and D Rambo and Bear. No, thank you guys so much for tuning in this evening. Tonight's lesson is going to be a bit of a difficult one, and so we're probably not really going to be going, but so far into it, we're going to try to take crypto mining in small steps, because there's a lot of really technical terminology that comes into play when we start to talk about how mining works on different blockchains. So today is going to be kind of an easing in process, but also at the very end, we will be going ahead and showing people how to connect their Ledger hardware wallet to a Metamask wallet or a hot wallet, so that people can keep their cryptocurrency secure while also being able to enjoy decentralized finance and everything that it brings along with it. Oh, hey there, Donna and Starbright. How are y'all doing this evening? And so Starbright says, hello, says, here for more crypto download to my brain. We're going to try to make it easy. We're going to try to make it easy. No super large downloads. Oh, D Rambo, I love you, Zest, for having these classes. I have to run out the door. Everyone have a blessed day. I will have to catch up when finances line and purchase everything I need. I understand that, D Rambo. I know that there are many times where I'm looking at the markets and wishing I had more dollars sitting in fiat to go ahead and throw over there. What's up, Jeremy? Actually, I am hoping that we may get Jeremy for a second. It's going to depend on his cell signal, because he is out getting ready for his son's baseball practice. He is one of the coaches. But talking about mining today, Jeremy has actually mined for Bitcoin and for other cryptocurrencies before, and so I wanted to get him in here to give a little bit of his personal story today, and that way everyone can also meet Jeremy. One of the guys with a hammer in his hands as our moderator. He's also my business partner on many things crypto related. But let's see if he has got, see if he's gotten that link. I believe I sent it over to him. Jeremy, it should be inside of your regular email, by the way. Bear, old peeps like easy, Z. I try, Bear, I try. Howdy there, Blue Blyu. How are you doing this evening there, Blyu? And Neil coming back in from North Kakalaki. Vicky Lucas, hi Zester. I ordered my ledger from your link. I could not tell if you got the credit. I'm certain that if you went through and you got it through the link, Vicky, that it did go to the right place. The best way for you to find out is to see if you also, in the refer a friend section over here on Ledger, you should actually see that you have a pending reward that would look similar to that. And so you should also see that on your account, Vicky. If you do, then definitely, I think that there is a caveat to that one where it could be a matter of you receiving an email. So I am certain, though, Vicky, that it did end up coming through just fine. But I think we do actually have Jeremy here. And so before we jump in and we actually talk about the logistics of mining, the science behind it, the math behind it, we're going to start with a review. Someone who has mined a lot, someone who has spent a lot of money mining, and who also made money mining back in the day. And so I don't know if he's ready, because I can tell that he is currently driving. But we're going to see if we can't get Jeremy in here just to give us his experience. And that's before we jump into the actual class. So here he is. And so we're going to go ahead and get him on screen. So I think we should be able to hear you now, Jeremy.
Hey, what's going on, Zach and everybody?
Hey, how's it going? Now, it sounds like you're coming through perfectly on audio. So hopefully you don't hit any dead spot.
Yeah, so real quick, on the way to baseball, like you said, and my mining goes back several years. There were three types of mining that I actually have, that I've actually taken participated in. One is cloud mining, where you buy hash rate. Zach can talk more about this, from a company that has a major mining operation, and you can mine that way. It's just your money up front for cloud mining, their equipment, and they give you a reward for the portion of the percentage that you own of the hash rate. And then the second version would be GPU mining from my gaming graphics card, like the 3090 or the 2070, I think, or a 1070 Ti. I actually used to mine CUDA miner, and there's some things you can do there. You got to be very careful with that, though, because when it comes to putting any kind of program on your computer, got to make sure that it's not a malware and such. And then the most profitable type of mining I've done is this thing right here. Oh, sorry about that. That is a Bitmain Antminer A3 junk hardware. Can you pick that up? It's pretty heavy. So it's I used to mine on the Blake 2B algorithm. It's a little technical for you there, but it's Siacoin, SIA. It's an interesting project. I don't follow it much anymore, but I had 6 mining rigs that cost me about $3,500 a pop to buy, and I think I probably made about $20,000 when it was all said and done after all expenses. But the trouble with these is that they actually came out. I mined for about 2 years. Had I held the Siacoin when it went to all-time high, I would have made a lot of money. But I needed it when I needed it, and I was more than north of even, so I was happy with that. You can never look back and say, "Oh, I shoulda, coulda, woulda." You just kind of go with it. But the thing about these is they were good for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years, and then Obelisk came out with a miner that was 10 times more efficient than that, and it made my miners paperweights. They've been paperweights for several years now. And I also, in order to run these more efficiently, they don't like 110, they like 240, right? So I actually ran, I think, 16 lines of 240 to my basement. I expanded my breaker box, had Ketterman Electric come out here in Gettysburg and install them. And but it was definitely profitable. If a couple issues with that, though, as well, is you have to worry about your energy costs. I went from about $140 a month to about $500 a month, and so I had to take that into consideration. I have no solar panels. I have no other alternative energy source, power supply or anything like that. It's coming right from the electric company, and so it can be expensive. So there are a lot of things to take into consideration. We can maybe, Zach, get into some mining for the community. That might be good. What do you think about that?
Yeah, no, that could be fun, just to show everybody kind of how it works. Not to take it really seriously or try to make too much money off of it, but just to show everyone how the process it is undergone, because I think it's one of those things where it's almost too complicated to really try to explain to anyone the technical terms that back it up. It's something where you just kind of have to see it work, and then you learn from there, unless you are extremely technically savvy. And so I know with yours, that what years were you actually running those during, Jeremy?
We got to figure. I moved to Pennsylvania from Virginia back in 2017, and so it was in 2017. We moved in August. I started mining in like October, where I bought 6 of these machines. Now I will tell you this. So the reason I didn't buy the new Obelisk machines was only because they came out at a sticker price of $15,000 a pop. There were 10 of those. 10 of these equaled one of the Obelisk, the new machines that came out, and it was just a bridge too far for me. I actually went in Dutch on these machines with a friend, and we were splitting the profits. And so we would figure out how much the electricity was, and we'd split that. And so we had a whole spreadsheet going, and we kept track of it. And like I said, I think I mined like almost 4 million Siacoin, like actual coins, and it was pretty cool there. But the trouble was my partner at the time, Steve, down in Virginia Beach, one of my Army buddies, he is one that actually got me into crypto, right? And he was telling me when Bitcoin was like $180, $200, dude, you should put some money in, and I didn't, right? My wealth manager actually told me, it's just a fad, don't do it. And I put my money in another stock, a lot of money, and that thing went belly up, excuse me, part of my language. And a long story short is, what did we figure out, Zach? I would be sitting on a fortune of $35 million today had I done the other way, on Bitcoin instead of the stock.
Yeah, we did that math actually just a couple hours ago, and I know I know Jeremy did not greatly appreciate that final number after I calculated it real quick. But at the point when Jeremy was mining Scicoin and mining other cryptocurrencies, his wealth manager told him there's no way in heck he should put his money into stocks, and so suggested to him that he choose another option. And needless to say, the investment he was looking to make in Bitcoin at that time, if his financial advisor hadn't told him not to, would have turned $100,000 into $35 million today. And so that's not a fun one to swallow. But hindsight,
No.
And so
It is.
Advisor, I just sent him a text message every day. Hey, when am I getting my 35 million? Hey, when am I getting my 35 million you owe me?
Yeah. So, but with these, like I said, my partner in Virginia Beach, Steve, a good dear friend of mine, like I said, army buddy, he hasn't touched crypto since, because what happened was he told me, hey, that new miner is 15,000. I found one for 9,500. This guy, and it's this company. It's legit. I've checked them out. We need to send him $9,500 in Bitcoin. And so I was skeptical, right? And we went through with it. And next thing you know, the Telegram disappears, right? He deletes all messages. Poof, the website is down, gone. One hit wonder. He walked away at 9,500. And so Steve felt so badly, he actually sold some of his crypto to give me, because we had split it, in Dutch on it, actually paid me for that and told me to keep the SIA rigs. He was done with crypto. And to this day, Steve does not touch crypto. His wife will not let him. And it's unfortunate because we were both in at a very early pivotal time. And sometimes you make bad choices, and you got to live with it. But you can't sit here and look back at something that's 2020 and say, I should have, could have, would have. Just learn from those mistakes and you move forward.
Yeah, absolutely. That one, it's we can't sit there and worry about opportunity loss in that regard. It really comes down to it. It's 2020. We learn the lessons, and sometimes we pay a decent amount to learn them. I think we just lost you there, Jeremy. So you can jump back in on that link if you do have anything else that you want to share. But I thought that would be fun, guys, to actually get a little bit from someone who has some experience before we go into talking about what mining actually is and how it works. How did it go for people that had done it? And so, what would be your review? Hindsight 2020. I assume you probably wish you had been running 1,000 rigs back then, but also realistically, you were going through a lot trying to run them.
Yeah. And so a couple things about that, environmentally speaking, obviously greater power consumption, right? So I would want to have solar panels or something along those lines to help defray the cost so that your margin is increased. The noise. Now, it actually was kind of comforting to me. Many of you, many in the community, Mark's community, of course here, know me a little bit. I spent 6.5 years overseas, and 3.5 of those years were spent in Iraq, and I lived in a tent. More actually in a trailer. It was in Africa. I was in a tent for most of the time, but we had generators, and so it actually resembled the sound of a hum of a generator, right? And so I had these 5 or 6 miners running, and it was like this hum of a generator. My wife, we were up on the 3rd floor or the 2nd floor in the basement in the machine room directly underneath us. We could hear the hum, right? And so there was that. I would want to soundproof my room a little bit, the machine room. The other thing was the amount of heat that these things generate, all right, is substantial, all right? And so you got to make sure you're keeping them cool, because they will burn out if it's too hot, the ambient temperature is too hot. So what I did is I did not have a window to vent out in the basement. All I had was the door, right? And so I had to go buy a storm door from Home Depot, install that, one of those nice glass storm doors, lower the glass from the top part down, and then I fashioned a thing that held 6. I used I'll probably use the wrong term, but it's insulated duct like piping that's like xylophone. It's flexible, and I had to run those from the back of the machine here. Right, this is the output fan, right? And so I put a ring on it, and there were actually adapters you could buy for this, and so I put a ring on it and put that hose on there, the duct work, and blew it out the back, and actually had to fashion like a wood thing to put in where the window was, right? And it held it there. And so now the thing was, course, I had the door locked, but if somebody wanted to break into the house, they probably could have pretty easily. But I had a big rack there up against the door, and it was blown out, but it actually created like a negative pressure, right, that I had to address. So I had to leave the room, the door open to the machine room, and then leave the window cracked on the other side of the basement, right? Otherwise, it felt weird down there. So there were some things there. So if I were to do it again, I would look for a shed of some sort, and really do my best to soundproof it. When you live, we have neighbors kind of close to us. We only have half an acre. It's not like the land we had bought years ago with 12 acres, and we would have been fine. Nobody would have hurt it. But, you have to consider that. I would imagine if you're running 10 or 20 of those machines, and they're a lot quieter now, they're more efficient these days, but even still, people complain about the noise. And so you might be breaking some noise ordinance of some sort. But yeah, there's things I would do. I would love to get back into it, Zach, like on a larger scale. We had spoken about it actually, if you remember, with our colleagues in Virginia Beach. We were looking at getting into it, and then what happened was, what was it, Zach? That Bitcoin crash, right? And it made mining just not profitable at all. But the thing is, there are some companies that had the ability to withstand that and just keep mining, because one Bitcoin is equal to what, Zach?
Always one Bitcoin.
Yeah. So if you can ride out the tough times and do that, then you do pretty good when things are good. So it's just the way it is. But yeah, I would love to get back into it. Maybe we need to do some. We got lots of sunlight down there in Puerto Rico, Zach. Maybe we need to look at some property and look at mining again. It's worthwhile.
Well, that's one of the biggest things. And so what Jeremy has right there is one of the old school type miners. So that is an ASIC. Is that correct, or is that a GPU?
This is a Bitmain Antminer A3 ASIC miner. So here's the power supply, right? And then this is the rig itself.
Yep. And so that was what is used. Newer versions are what are used nowadays. But that is what's used for the majority of the proof of work systems like Bitcoin. And so Bitcoin utilizes ASIC miners, similar to that, massive amounts of them. And as HKY was here said, underground, actually, the vast majority of them do operate underground. I believe you actually have a bit of a story on that one, Jeremy, before I let you go, because I know you need to be getting ready for coaching.
Yeah, all the kids are showing up. Yeah, what that was is when I like I said, I've done mining with GPU mining just with my two gaming systems, right? And I made a couple $100 in Ethereum. That's what I was mining. I was doing Raven Coin, another file sharing protocol, just like Fiacoin. Very interesting protocol. We should actually look more into that, Zach. I don't know what they're doing these days. It's been so long. But then with the hash rate that I purchased, and I forget, it was cloud mining. I want to say cloudmining.com. Don't quote me on that. I have to go back and look. But they actually, I believe, were in Iceland, right? And they had everything in like caves, right? And so super cool. You would keep your wine collection there maybe as well, or whatnot. But so they would do that, and then they had all renewable energy. So the only thing that made it difficult was whenever I was doing that, and Bitcoin crashed about 7 months into my year contract, I put $10,000 out, and I was making good money, right? Making a lot of Bitcoin. I was doing really well. But when Bitcoin price crashed, it became not profitable. And they had a caveat in their contract that said, if at some point Bitcoin mining becomes not profitable because of the price of each individual Bitcoin, we reserve the right to stop the mining operation until conditions warrant the ability to do it and be profitable, right? But what they didn't do is they didn't pause my contract. So for 5 months, 6 months, they weren't mining, but my contract was still ticking. Right. And so when they went back to mining, when Bitcoin shot back up again and reached that one of their all-time highs back in the day in the 32,000 range or whatever, I reached out to them and said, hey, why don't I have any hash rates? Oh, your contract expired, months ago. I was like, well, but wait, you paused mining. Well, we still kept the contracts running. So if you're ever going to get into cloud mining, those are the kinds of questions you want to ask. But I did find it interesting. I liked them because they were cave mining, basically. Everything was in a cave. It was pretty cool.
I know that definitely is. And so, yeah, that is something that has been going on there, HKY. People have been putting them inside of old dams. putting them inside of old cave networks. And then there are even the folks who are actually building waterproof ones and trying to put them either in pools of water inside of their own homes or in other such places. So there have been some really ingenious solutions that have been thought of to try and solve the heat problem.
I'll leave you with this. We were looking at some mining rigs, price them out, Zach and I earlier, before I got on the road to go pick up my son's cleats at Dick's Sporting Goods. And so if you see here, like I said, this is a passive fan or an active cooling system, and it's a robust fan. There's also a fan on the front, so it sucks it in the intake fan. These things are heavy. And the outtake fan, my son was over here. He was hard trying to hold it up. But anyway, the one we looked at today, the top one on the market for Bitcoin right now, which is, I want to say 255 terahash, Zach, right? Which is a lot of hash power. And the price wasn't too bad. And we'll have to do some more research on this, but it was actually liquid cooled. It had all kinds of tubes coming out the back, right? And so it was water cooled. I have seen some interesting setups where people do some GPU mining rigs and they put it in aquariums, right? And they submerge them, the rigs and casings, right? That are waterproof, and they keep it cooled. I've even seen beer cooled mining rigs, right? And they've got beer flowing through it. So interesting stuff. Zach, I'm down to, not that we have a lot of time with everything going on, but I'd be down to looking at some mining options, and maybe we can do something. And maybe here's a thought: maybe if the community turns a solid profit on the community portfolio, a portion of that could go into a fund, put it in a side wallet, right, to buy a rig, right, and and then that could self-perpetuate itself, But the trick is knowing what's coming out technology-wise. That something's not going to come out to make it obsolete 6 months later. Right, you don't want the obelisk issue like I had, which made 6 of these, which I paid $3,500 a pop, to go, belly up because they're no longer valuable. So that's all I have.
No, I appreciate you jumping in there. And so for all of those that have wondered, that is the Jeremy that might be deleting your comments or responding to questions inside of the chats if depending on the situation. And so really glad that you were able to jump in here for a second, though, and give everybody a bit of an idea of what it actually is like to run a proof of work mining setup.
Cool. All right, hey, Zach, it's a pleasure as always. I'll talk to you later.
Hey, sounds good. You have fun at baseball. Tell John to make certain and outperform.
Always. All right, hey, we'll see you guys later. Take care.
Hey, take care, Jeremy. All right, guys. So was really glad to be able to get Jeremy in here for a second, just because he has experience with mining. And now we're gonna kind of dive into what was he doing when he was mining? What was all that power being utilized for? What were those expensive electrical units doing? And hey there, Weezer. Really glad that you've gotten here to join us. Today is kind of a fun one, and we're easing into it today because mining is something where the vast majority of people who mine could not explain to you what they're doing. They know essentially how to do it, but they don't know what they're actually doing the vast majority of the time. So we're going to ease our way in, and we're going to talk about the different types of mining that exist, because what Jeremy was describing, explaining, is ASIC miners. ASIC miners are what are used for certain proof of work blockchains, Bitcoin being an example, Siacoin, Ravencoin, which are some smaller ones. So Bitcoin being the really big one. And so what he would have been doing was actually solving mathematical equations with his miners. And we're going to jump in real quick and kind of look at the difference between proof of work and proof of stake mining. These are definitely not going to be easy ones to get into, guys, but hopefully we can kind of get a baseline understanding of what this means. So we're going to go ahead and jump over here. And so all of these links will be inside of the Discord. By the way, guys, I've got a lot tonight, if you notice. We have got way too many links that we're going to be going through. Most of these are for the community to be able to look at and reference in the future. The important one is really right here, where we're going to come actually down and we're going to follow along a little bit with what proof of work is. And the reason that I ended up choosing this article is because it managed to put things into the simplest form I could find. And there really is not a simple form on this one. But if we have a base understanding, then we can at least make logical decisions and understand what people are saying when they say that they are quote unquote mining cryptocurrency. So when Satoshi Nakamoto was building the first cryptocurrency Bitcoin, he had to find a way for transactions to be verified without the use of a third party. And so he created a proof of work system. Now, one little caveat right here: find a way for transactions to be verified without the use of a third party. Think about this, guys. When you go to the bank and you say, I would like to send money to someone for any reason. Say you had a contractor working on your house and you'd like to send them money. The person verifying whether you actually have the money and sending the money over is the bank. No one else. It's just the bank. If it's Wells Fargo, it's Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo is saying he has this much money in his account and he's sending this much money to another person. And so we have concentrated all of the power in terms of our financial system and our financial institutions. Bank of whatever, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, they are the only people who actually really have a say over whether you have the money or don't have the money. And that means the government or any other person or entity could come to them and say, well, we want to take Zach's money. Zach doesn't have that money anymore. Now, with Bitcoin, what is occurring is it's not that one entity is actually deciding whether I have the money and I can make that purchase. It's the proof of work system. And so proof of work is used to determine how the blockchain reaches consensus. Consensus is this idea of complete decentralization. So the Bitcoin ledger is being held on every person's unit that is currently mining Bitcoin. So if you're mining Bitcoin, you have a document on your computer, on your unit, that says every single wallet and how much Bitcoin they have. And so millions and millions of different units all have the ledger. They all know how much Bitcoin Zach has. They know how much Bitcoin HK has and Weezer has and Terry has. They all know how much Bitcoin you have. As opposed to our modern system where the bank knows how much you have. Instead of the bank knowing, all of the miners all know how much you have. And they cannot allow a transaction to go through. So they can't allow you to send your Bitcoin to another person unless everyone on the network agrees that your money is good and your money has gone to this new person. And so when we start to think about that, we've taken all of this control away from any singular institution. You know, the US government can't go in and say, hey, Wells Fargo, give me that money. And Wells Fargo can't say, hey, you don't have that money anymore. Now we would need millions and millions and millions of computers to all agree it's not your money. And so as we kind of continue through that, let's look at what is actually keeping it that safe. And so in regards to how the blockchain reaches consensus, in other words, how can the network be sure that the transaction is valid and that someone isn't trying to do bad things, such as spend the same funds twice? And so what it actually uses to do this is cryptography. And so for those who have ever been curious about why cryptocurrency is known as cryptocurrency, it is known as that because the underlying mathematics that protect our money is cryptography. Cryptography in and of itself, which we do have a link for, is a process of hiding or coding information so that only a certain person or only a certain network, maybe, would be capable of actually deciphering the message. And so each time you actually make a transaction with Bitcoin or with another cryptocurrency, what it's sending is an indecipherable cipher. It is sending a encrypted message every single time. And the entire ledger network, all of the miners, are all going in and saying, yes, Zach had that money. He sent that money. Now Jeremy has that money, or wherever it may be. And so that's what they're actually doing. Our miners are verifying our transactions, and they are ensuring that no one is doing anything wrong. And the way that they are going about making that happen is by solving math problems. And now we are talking about Bitcoin right now. So Bitcoin will be our major example for the beginning. It is a proof of work blockchain. And in order to mine Bitcoin, what these computers are actually doing is they're using mathematical equations that are so difficult only a computer could solve them. And every single time that the miner is presented with a new equation, with a new mathematical formula, it's different. So there's no way to predict what the next one's going to be. There's no way to cheat the system. It is truly, truly every single time 100% unique, unpredictable. You have no idea what math problem you're about to get. You just know that the math problem is so hard, no human being could possibly solve it in any amount of time besides days or weeks. So there's no way for one really smart person to come into the system and start messing with the blockchain, because it would require an immense amount of time and immense amount of computing power. And so one of the things that Jeremy mentioned is that it requires insane amounts of electricity. And so this is very much true when it comes to the proof of work model. Proof of work is requiring you to run those units like Jeremy just showed us earlier in the stream, and it's requiring you to run them nonstop. And they are just solving math problems. That's all they're doing. They're solving math problems. And whichever one of the computers that are trying to solve the blockchain get it right first, they are the ones that are given the reward of solving a single block. And the only thing that is really occurring is that people are solving these math problems in a competition. And that competition is to get the right answer. The first person that gets the right answer, that block is then established in the blockchain, and every single miner is told what is the new balance of everyone's wallets. How much Bitcoin does Zach have? How much Bitcoin does Terry have? How much Bitcoin does David have? And so every time one of these math equations is solved and a new block is established, then the ledger is updated. And the ledger is updated with the new balance of Bitcoin for every single person. So we're no longer trusting a government or our bank to actually tell us who has how much money. We are trusting millions of computers that all have to agree about who has the money. And so say one computer disagrees. One computer says, no, Zach has 1 million Bitcoin. And so, somebody's messing around. And so one computer, one validator, one miner comes back and says that Zach has 1 million Bitcoin. Well, what's going to occur then is all the other miners, all of the other ones, the millions of other miners that exist around the planet, are all going to then go and look at the ledger and say, no, he doesn't. He doesn't. We can all verify we all have the balance. Zach's got nothing. In which case, that one miner will be disregarded. And the network will establish who actually has that Bitcoin. And so it's a system that has never failed to this point, at least. And it's designed to essentially give people a vested interest in doing the right thing. And so if you're a miner and you've been constantly purchasing this very expensive electrical equipment, and you've been constantly investing in the power costs to keep running it. You have got hundreds of thousands of dollars, massive amounts of money invested into mining cryptocurrency, which means you have a vested interest in ensuring that Bitcoin succeeds. And that was the thought process that Satoshi had. And that's why we have the Bitcoin halvening that keeps continually occurring. And so what that Bitcoin halvening is doing is it's ensuring that it's constantly getting more competitive over and over again every time we see another reduction. And so as we look at the clock right now, we see that in 33 days, 13 hours, that the amount that people actually make for mining a token is going to decrease from 6.25 Bitcoin to 3.125 Bitcoin. This means the system is always getting harder and harder. And that means you need to constantly be improving and investing in better equipment and cheaper energy in order to be competitive. And this is what Satoshi wanted to happen. He wanted the people that are mining and validating to have an extremely vested interest, because keep in mind, they're paid in Bitcoin. They're paid in Bitcoin, and they've invested hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars in fiat, US dollars, pounds, whatever it is, into purchasing this equipment, into paying for this electricity. And so it would be very foolish of them as miners to ever mess up the network. They would be shooting themselves in the foot. And this was the general idea based around it, is that we would create a vested interest for the miners. The miners have to remain constantly competitive. They have to invest money, invest time, invest energy in order to validate the network. And that this would ensure that we didn't have malactors out there in the space. Because if you put all this money in, why would you possibly incorrectly verify a transaction? You wouldn't, ever. And so this is kind of where that general idea came from. And that's the reason that we have this connection between the Bitcoin halvening and Bitcoin mining. And it's the miners who are worried about the halvening. And that's the reason that we've seen the cyclical change in the cryptocurrency market. And so what I really wanted to jump in today, though, because proof of work mining is extremely technical. It is not something that makes sense for most people, but it is not the only form of mining. And so keep in mind, this proof of work is Bitcoin. Pretty much nowadays, that's the #1 chain that utilizes a full proof of work system. And I'm certain y'all have heard from the environmentalists how upset they are about proof of work. It uses an immense amount of electricity, an immense amount. And so what we've seen done since then is we've seen the evolution of proof of stake mining. And so proof of stake mining is what Ethereum has been using since 2022, I believe. And so as we look into proof of stake, and so all of these links, by the way, guys, cryptography, the main one, all of these are going to be inside of the Discord links page. And so for those that is new for, that would be over here in Discord, today's links. As soon as this stream ends, you will see all of my links pop up down here so that everyone can go through them, because in all honesty, guys, I think it's going to require kind of going through more. If you really, really wanted to dig deep into what mining is and how it works, it's going to require kind of going to an extreme of learning. And I imagine it's going to take rereading some of these articles multiple different times in order to get there. But I have put together what I believe to be a fairly comprehensive list of different ways of explaining it. And so what we are, though, going to jump to is proof of stake. And because proof of stake is where I think the community probably has a little bit more interest, and also what is most likely going to be the future of mining. Proof of work is difficult because you are restricted to a singular area. So say one government decides that they have a problem with your mining operation, one electric company decides you have a problem, then you could potentially get shut down, forced into another country to relocate, or potentially to lose your millions of dollars of investment in these electrical components. Whereas proof of stake operates off of a matter of actually staking the cryptocurrency you own. And so when we look at something like Ethereum, Ethereum is now a staked token. And so I am currently looking through, I had a really awesome little thing for you to check out on this one. I'm certain that I will end up finding it. All right. So proof of stake model. It is using a different process to confirm transactions and reach consensus. It's still the same cryptographic algorithm. So it's still the same idea. But instead of us using our computing power to solve math problems, what we're doing is we're using our cryptocurrency to prove how serious we are. And so we're putting up a massive amount of money. To actually create an Ethereum node is 30 Ethereum. And so if you wanted to create one nowadays, that would come in at a cost of 3,651 times 30. So well over $100,000 in order to create a node. And if you validate a transaction improperly and the transaction is not true, and so you're trying to do something wrong, what occurs is they take the money from you. They take the money from you. And so if you're a validator and you're doing everything properly and you're not breaking any rules, you're making certain that transactions get from point A to point B, you're running your node 24/7, you're keeping up with the ledger, you're ensuring that Zach has the right amount of Ethereum and George has the right, HK has the right, and David, all of us all have the right amount of Ethereum, and you're doing your job the right way, then you get paid. You get paid about 6% yearly in Ethereum in order to actually run the node. If you are wrong and you actually do anything improperly, then your Ethereum is used to cover the mistake. And so this is where we have this big difference between, remember, Bitcoin, we're mining with computer parts. We're mining with all these really, really expensive electrical components that we paid for. And we're spending a lot of electricity in order to do the mining. And so that's what we're doing for Bitcoin. For Ethereum and other proof of stake networks, what we're doing is we're putting a lot of cryptocurrency and we're saying, you guys get to hold on to this. The network, the blockchain gets to hold on to this. And it's proof that I'm serious. I'm serious. I'm willing to give you $100,000 and say, you can hold on to it. And I want my 6% return every single year in order for having done so. And then you have encountered a proof of stake model, where what they're doing is they're looking through and saying, look at all these people who have a lot of money that's at stake. All of their computers say that this transaction is correct. And so in this system, there is no chance of you being improperly docked for having done things wrong. If you put your staking in and you are not doing anything malicious, you have nothing to worry about. You're going to get your 6% return every single year, no problem. Absolutely none. And so this is the proof of stake model as opposed to the proof of work. So proof of work, we're solving math problems. Proof of stake, we're risking money. And really in both, we're risking money. One just requires less energy. And that is where we saw the major push just a couple years back. And really, this one started in 2019. Ethereum completed the upgrade in 2022, I believe, where they went to a proof of stake model. And proof of stake most likely will be the future. Proof of work, with the energy consumption and the way that competition has occurred in it, it is probably only going to ever be a Bitcoin thing. There could end up being other chains in the future that come out using a proof of work system. I doubt it. Proof of stake is most likely going to be the mainstay. It is not the only method of ensuring transactions. And so we will go into that one at the end. For all the XRP and XLM heads out there, we will go into, at the very end, a short little understanding of the big difference, because both Stellar and Ripple do not utilize a proof of staking method. They actually utilize a proof of consensus method, to my knowledge. And so we will jump into that one. David Lewis, that's a great question. And so say you staked the Ethereum in order to become a validator node. What you actually do, David, is you lock it up for a specific amount of time. And so I believe it's 1 year or 2 years that you would lock your 30 Ethereum. At the end of that time, you would then have the option to take your Ethereum out. And so you are having to essentially commit for an extended period of time that you are giving your Ethereum to the Ethereum Foundation, to the blockchain, and you are backing up these transactions. So it does have a lock period, but you eventually get your full Ethereum back. And so this one is particularly good, David. Ethereum staking really is something for the Ethereum maxis. The Ethereum maximalists who believe that their Ethereum is going to keep going up, for them, they stake it into a node because they're not worried about selling it. They believe that it's going to continue to go up. They get to collect a passive income, and they also get to keep all of their Ethereum. You never risk your Ethereum, David, when you operate a node. You're getting it back. But say you put 30 Ethereum in, and during your 1 year lock period, 6 months in, the price of Ethereum goes up 10x. And you're like, man, I really would love to sell some of my 30 Ethereum. You can't. And so, that was halfway through your lock period. Maybe 6 months later, Ethereum's back down to the price that you bought it at, in which case you missed out on the opportunity to potentially sell for a big gain. But you got a passive income. And that's why I say it really is for the people who have a very long-term perspective on where Ethereum is going. And with the most of proof of stake systems, it's the same way. You have a long-term vision of where this cryptocurrency is going. And so you don't worry about locking it up for a year or two. You say, that's no problem. I'm not planning on selling it in a year or two. I'm planning on holding it for a decade or who knows how long. In which case, these proof of stake models work particularly well. David, let me help you out real quick with that one, because I do have my link tree sitting right here. And so if you go ahead and jump onto that link tree, David, you'll see that the Discord server is up there at the top, and we would love to have you over there. I have been greatly enjoying having the Discord, and I hope that it's been helping people. I know it's just in the beginning days. There's still so much more organization that needs handled inside of it, and there's still so much more to do. Oh, what's up, Terry? And thank you so much for saying that. No, I definitely would, folks. I would greatly appreciate the thumbs up, the subscribes, the shares. They make a huge difference. They help people see the channel, and nowadays with YouTube, they also get us closer and closer to the point where this information will become more available. Essentially, until we reach a certain point and get the channel to a certain level, YouTube really doesn't tell anyone that we exist. And so I greatly appreciate it. And I think we all will, because the more and more that it grows, the more resources that will come to us. As we get to be a larger and larger community, we will attract more and more of the positivity of the cryptocurrency environment. So definitely. Thank you guys. Starbright, thank you. Overcoming Victory, thank you guys so much. I greatly appreciate it. All right, though. Continuing forward a little bit with this. So, all right, of course. And there are a lot of other ones. And so to kind of give the little breakdown that the article here gives, proof of work requires all of its miners to attempt to solve a complex problem, with the winner being determined by the person who has the most powerful / largest quantity of hardware devices. And so it incentivizes, well, it doesn't really incentivize, it benefits the richest. It benefits the person who has the most money to invest in, the most miners. They get to win the block reward. Proof of stake, on the other hand, randomly chooses the winner based on the amount they have staked. And so, proof of stake is, in my opinion, an amazing evolution. It does essentially allow people to buy their way in, but here is the caveat. Proof of stake doesn't require that you individually have 30 Ethereum. You don't need 30 Ethereum to participate. You can actually go into a pool of people, put your 1 Ethereum in, and then say 29 other people put their 1 Ethereum in. Now you have enough for a validator node. And now what you do is you actually split up the return rate between everyone who is participating in the pool. And this is the way that everyone is capable of participating. With proof of work, everyone was not really capable of participating after the first 8 years. You know, I mean, really there at the very beginning, Bitcoin was so easy to mine, anybody could. You know, you could take your toaster and hook it up, and it could solve a math problem that would win you Bitcoin. People used to win 50 Bitcoin multiple times a day. Nowadays, you are running $1 million of equipment and millions of dollars of electricity in order to mine that those Bitcoin. But back then, it really didn't require anything. Now, proof of work, in terms of the way Bitcoin works, requires a crazy investment. You need to spend huge money. You need specialized facilities. You need cheap electricity. And you also need the market to work along with you. And you need to sell your Bitcoin in order to cover your costs at the right times. Whereas with proof of stake, we don't have to worry about that. All we're doing is actually just putting crypto into a pool and saying we won't screw up. And we don't really have to worry about that because the system is going to keep us together in regards to that. So that's where we really see the big difference between how proof of stake and proof of work are operating. They're both still operating off of a consensus method. They both still need the network to all agree. And in case of proof of work, they need all the computers to agree and all the computing power to all agree. In terms of proof of stake, they need all the computers that are being backed up with large amounts of capital to agree. And so one person is not capable of influencing this. You know, even one massive institution, say BlackRock or somebody like that, were to look at the situation and say, we've got the money, we've got the capital, we can control 51% of the network. It's not possible. They're not capable of doing that. And that's because the blockchain would constantly make it more and more and more difficult. And that's the way it's designed to work. Every single time more computing power is added to the blockchain, we will see everything get harder and harder and harder. It's designed this way. It's designed to make Bitcoin extremely hard to create. And of course, we know it's going to end up at a fixed supply. There only will ever be 21 million Bitcoin that ever exist. But there won't be 21 million Bitcoin until what? 2140. And so the idea is that what miners will be doing that entire time is they will be validating the network, ensuring that the ledgers are actually there, ensuring the blocks are continually evolving, and they will be constantly evolving their technology, constantly, in order to remain competitive. And genius, I think, would potentially be an accurate word for Satoshi and how he managed to design this, because he established the fact that it can't really be broken. Say all the miners quit mining. Say the vast majority of them quit mining. All the ones with the expensive units, they just say, throw all this money away. I didn't want it in the first place. And say they do that. What Bitcoin will do is the math problems will become easier. And so as the math problems become easier, then I'll be able to throw my computer on there and start solving equations again. And so say all these miners run away from us, run away from us. Oh no, what's going to happen? Who's going to keep the blockchain safe? No worries. The blockchain is designed to evolve back and forth. The more miners, the more difficult. The less miners, the less difficult. And so it remains secure no matter what occurs. No matter what happens, you would have to hack 51% of all of the Bitcoin miners at the same time. There is no government or organization capable of even coming close to that. You would have to hack them all at the same time, immediately at the same time. It's not going to happen. It would require quantum computing to a degree where if someone develops the technology to actually mess up the miners, they could have hacked into the Pentagon or NORAD. And so if some hacking group becomes powerful enough to actually disrupt Bitcoin, I'd be far more worried about what our nuclear bombs are doing than I would be about the price of Bitcoin. I'd probably be trying to exchange my cryptocurrency, my gold, and everything else for iodine packs and building a bunker. Because if ever there came a day where there was enough computing power to disrupt the Bitcoin mining network, we have way bigger issues. You know, Bitcoin is a minor problem at that point. Everybody should not be worried about wealth in the slightest. So that's what keeps it safe, is the fact that it is essentially impossible for anyone to mess with us. With either system. With either system, it is essentially impossible for anyone to mess with us because it is decentralized. It's not a bank. It's not a government. It doesn't make sense. If you quit mining and, say you're a big miner and you quit mining, you just decide, hey, I'm going to stop. And then you say, all the other miners, we should all quit. Every time each miner quits, I'm getting paid more. I want you to quit. And so there's just no way that all the miners would get together and stop operating the network. Because each time one miner quit, the next miner would make more. And the next miner would make more. And the next would make more. All of these have created a system where human nature will ensure that the system continues for eternity. Because we as humans naturally are not going to act in our own disinterest. We are going to protect ourselves. And in doing so, we are going to protect the blockchain network forever. I really have no doubt in that regard. I imagine if we were to even take up and think of some type of insane, apocalyptic scenario where zombies are running around, there will still be some guys running the blockchain network. I guarantee it. There will be. Zombies will be rolling around, and there will still be people making certain that these networks do not stop running. That is the degree to which they have incentivized it. Overcoming victory. How do you get into a pool and proof of stake with Ethereum? And so there are actually a bunch of different services that do provide this overcoming victory. Something that I am looking into, though, and that I thought would be really awesome would be for us to make one. And so I am currently looking into how we as a community could establish a pool. And then it would be our pool. And it would be very transparent and very easy. It's controlled by a smart contract. I know how to write it. And then we wouldn't have any worries. And so overcoming victory, that's a really, really interesting question because that's something that I want to do the research. I want to see if that's not something that we could do. And then it would be the Patriots, the crazy kryptonite mining node would be validating, and we would all be getting paid in order to have our Ethereum. Because I know for me, I hold Ethereum and I don't stake all of it. I have some that is inside of a pool, but the vast majority is actually not staked right now, and that's just because I really aspire to someday being able to run my own node. Maybe we can get together and we can make that happen for all of us. Overcoming victory. I think that would be a great way to learn, and it would be a great way for us all to ensure we're not dealing with any malicious actors out there in the space. So yeah, that would be, I think that's something that we will be working on. I know actually Jeremy and I were talking about that one earlier when we were, when I was convincing him to jump in here and give us his story, which I'm still very grateful he was willing to jump in and do that. This does make me actually want to jump over though to something interesting for all of those who are XRP holders, XLM holders. Something I wanted to do was kind of give a little bit of an idea on a distinction between the two. And so XRP Ledger uses a consensus model. And so unlike proof of work or proof of stake blockchains, the XRP uses a consensus protocol in which servers called validators come to an agreement on the order and outcome of transactions every 3 to 5 seconds. XRP's diverse list of validators helps ensure its long-term health and consensus among different market participants to secure the XRP network. So that means that XRP is using a very different method. What they have is it's much harder to become a validator on XRP, and so you have to go through a lot of steps. XRP originally was fully centralized. It was only XRP validating the transactions. Actually, this is the reason back in 2017 and 2018, when I first invested in XRP, that I sold my XRP. I sold it because they were centralized. And I don't believe cryptocurrency should be. Nowadays, things are very different. XRP is no longer centralized in the same way. And so we can actually see that if we go over to XRP scan. And so as we can see here, and I know that this is far, far too many numbers, far, far too much going up on screen. But what we can see is that Ripple is running 659 nodes from different participants. And 127 validators are currently running. And you can even come down here and you can actually see each of the different validators as they have confirmed transactions. And so I'm going to also include this inside of the links for today on Discord. I know that for most, this is probably not but so interesting, but it does kind of tie things together because keep in mind, it's a different methodology. Ripple does not have a ton of validators. Even now, 127 is very low. If you to think about Ethereum or Bitcoin, they're a fraction over on XRP, an absolute fraction of the amount of validators. And to kind of go ahead and continue that thought process, I brought up Stellar. And so Stellar is a somewhat similar but different beast in that regard. And so for those who are not aware, XLM is essentially a ripoff of XRP. XRP was the original that created a blockchain the way they did. I believe that they released their blockchain back in 2014. I could be wrong. I don't make scripts, guys. So I genuinely go through everything on these streams off the top of my head, just so y'all know. So occasionally I do get things a little bit off, but I'm pretty certain that it was 2014 on XRP's initial release. I believe it was only 3 or 4 developers that actually originally designed the XRP blockchain. But Stellar is built off of it. We'll say that rather than stolen or copied or anything of that nature, because that's really not how things work in this industry. When you see someone who has created something that is innovative, you take it and you build more on it, and that is considered completely normal inside of cryptocurrency. That's not considered theft. That is considered, what the greatest form of flattery, I suppose. And so Stellar actually operates in a similar fashion off of a Stellar consensus protocol. And so Stellar Network is an open source public blockchain powered by the Stellar Consensus Protocol, SCP, a proof of agreement consensus mechanism. And so all of these different chains are operating off of entirely different quote unquote mining operations. All of these are, when you have heard the term mining, these are all mining. So Stellar has a Stellar consensus protocol that is proof of agreement consensus mechanism. That's their own way. XRP has their what are they? They're just consensus protocol, which is how they are quote unquote validating, aka mining. Ethereum has their proof of stake model that they are using in order to mine Ethereum. And then Bitcoin has their proof of work system that they are using to quote unquote mine Bitcoin. In all honesty, mining is just a term that has been used to relate it back to the same idea as silver and gold. Keep in mind, every year, more gold and silver is mined out of the ground. Every single year, more is mined. The same idea was used when it came to this verbiage, that more and more crypto is mined. All right, and so I hope that that one has kind of made sense. I know that today's lesson is, and what we've been going through is, I mean, it is more than complex. I do not expect people to feel like mining is something they completely understand at any point, because I would absolutely admit to the fact that many aspects of the different mining protocols that exist, I'm not fully certain what's going on in the background. I am not. Some of them are very different, and most of them are extremely complex. What I do know how to do is mine, not necessarily how some of the different things are going on in the background. So do not feel like you are missing out if you do not know exactly what's gone on in this lesson today. It is beyond normal. I would bet huge money, more money than I have, that over 50% of the miners on every network do not know what they're doing. They have just followed tutorials, they have followed lessons, and they have done what they were told to do. But I guarantee they cannot explain in technical terminology what is going on in the background. And that's why what's important is to understand the different types of mining. That is where we can start to simplify things, and we can start to really understand proof of work. We are solving math problems. Proof of stake. We are putting money into the bin and risking it. Proof of work. We are putting tons of money into electrical equipment and electricity in order to be a validator. Whereas proof of stake, we are merely putting up our cryptocurrency, and we're running a simple computer program that is holding the ledger. And that our verification that our ledger is accurate is that we have a lot of money on the line. And so we're not going to mess around with the ledger. I'm not going to go in and try to change the ledger in between blocks being formed, because I got 100 grand on the line. And so that's how proof of stake is solving the problem. Proof of work is solving it by saying, look at how much money they've spent on electrical equipment, on electricity. They're not going to mess with us. That'd be crazy. They would risk everything that they've built. And the same thing with the staking. They would risk all of their assets if they did it improperly. When it comes to XRP, for Raul, and when it comes to proof of consensus, XRP stalking is automatic. So why so cheap transaction cost? Raul, the reason that they're so cheap comes down to right here. They are centralized. A centralized network is going to be cheaper. And so a centralized network means that these guys aren't really competing. There's not many of them. They're not competitive in the same way that Ethereum and Bitcoin is. XRP, and it has always been the major complaint is too centralized. They are too centralized. They are controlled by a very small group of people. And you can come right down here and you can see that. We have got xspectre.com just validated 8 minutes ago, XRP validator, XRP scan, XRPL, XRP Kuwait, XRP goat, XRP vet, XRP.unic, all of these different ones. And then we have ripple.com. A vast portion of the validators are run by Ripple, run by the company, not by someone else. There are not millions of people all validating the network. There are 127 people validating the Ripple network. And so there's not a lot of competition. And did they build a more efficient system to transact cryptocurrency? Yes, it is more efficient, but it comes at a cost. And that cost is centralization. And XRP is still infinitely too centralized, in my opinion. Now, that is not necessarily a negative thing. It is the reason the transaction costs are so low. It allows their business model to work. But it is something that they themselves are actually correcting. And so I would like to make that one very, very clear for folks like that are out there, because I'm a big XRP fan. I am an XRP holder. I am an XRP supporter. I do have problems with them, but that has not changed that I am a holder, and I just wish the best for my holdings. XRP over the past couple of years, Raul, has been massively incentivizing people to become validators through different methods. Unfortunately, when I was going through and doing the research, it's quite difficult to get on that list, but it's another one, just like Ethereum, where I really want our community to run a validator node. I think that would be awesome. I think if we could pool and we could work together in terms of the consensus mechanism that they have on XRP, that would be a really, really cool thing for the community to do. So I am looking into that. Barb Stencil, Zester, what is SHIB and Dogecoin? So Shiba is an Ethereum token. It is built on the Ethereum network. It is a token, not a coin. And it is, if you were trying to send your Shiba, you would be sending it, if it is proper Shiba, you would be sending it to your Ethereum wallet. Dogecoin is its own cryptocurrency. And so Dogecoin was created by a guy back in, I believe, 2013 in a matter of an hour. It was a joke back then. It has become very, very serious nowadays. Very, very serious nowadays. But Dogecoin is inflationary. Doge is constantly printing more Doge. And so Dogecoin miners are proof of work miners. And so they still go off of the same system that Bitcoin uses. You can mine Dogecoin with an ASIC miner. And what you're paid in is you're actually paid in the newly minted Doge. Doge is minted to pay off the miners. That is what it is doing. Bear, Dave Lyon, XRP founder, said XRP is a gateway to XRP-L now, which is QFS. Bear, when it comes down to the future of XRP, I am very, very bullish. But as I've always said, of course, nothing I say is and should ever be misconstrued as investment advice in any form or fashion. It is for entertainment and education purposes solely. I forgot to do that back at the beginning. So an hour and 14 minutes in, I suddenly remember my financial disclaimer. Well, darn. That was a bit of a mess up. But I am a big supporter. When it comes down to it, though, I don't think the XRP of today is going to be the XRP of the future. So the certain things that I'm pointing out today, Bear, they are correcting them. As a matter of fact, XRP has added more decentralized validators over the past couple of years than ever before, and it continues to grow. And so I strongly, strongly believe that they understand my criticism and that they have been working on it for a while. So I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried in the slightest. about the fact that right now they're still a little decentralized because they are putting an immense amount of active effort towards changing that. And for this person, you just got deleted, Pulse DCA Club. For if anybody ever sees somebody come in like Pulse just did and try to advertise their cryptocurrency, please keep in mind they are all scammers. No matter what they say, no matter how they do it, anyone that comes in to a public chat room like this and tries to sell us on their cryptocurrencies is a scammer. And I will not change my opinion on that. But constructive criticism, constructive comments about cryptocurrencies is always welcome. Always welcome. But when you see somebody come in with the name Pulse, DCM, whatever, trying to convince us that we need to buy Pulse Chain, that's what's known as a scammer. So just as a, just using that as a learning method, because we did just have someone pop in and do that. I am glad that I managed to jump on them pretty quick. Who knows? Pulse Chain may be awesome, but I'll never trust any company that operates that way. And so I would definitely advise everyone else to look at it the same way. If somebody's running around and jumping into groups, and include this on Telegram and in other groups that y'all are in, if you see someone jump in and throw in that they're shilling some project, remember, shilling is when you go in and you try to convince other people to buy a cryptocurrency that you already own. That's known as shilling. That is, a crypto-related term. You can check out the Crypto Lingo live stream that we had if you have any questions. And you can also check out inside of the Discord underneath education. You would be able to find shilling in here. And so for anyone who is curious in regards to some of those different terms that I use, they are available inside of here. I am going to try to clean this up. Sorry, guys. I know I don't appreciate the word wall that it looks like. We will work on that one. But the same thing when you see that occur anywhere else. So if you're on a Telegram group and you see someone jump in and they spam out a message about how some cryptocurrency is about to go to the moon or anything of that nature, the only way we're going to make these scammers stop is if we quit listening. The reason they do it is because it works. People listen. So always stay frosty while you are out there, even when you're inside of the Discord group, guys. So far, Jeremy and myself have managed to keep all of them out. But at some point, someone's going to sneak by us. And they're going to try to convince you that you need to buy some cryptocurrency immediately. Don't listen to them. Don't listen to them. If it doesn't make sense for you, if you can't look at what the cryptocurrency provides and say this makes sense, don't do it. All right, though. Sorry for that little caveat. People like that jump in and try to show their cryptocurrencies is something that I just don't appreciate. But what we're going to go ahead and do is we're going to wrap things up today with a few more little news stories and then one last tutorial at the very end. So I put out a tweet about this one today, actually earlier. Nigeria is actually holding Binance executives inside of the country because Binance is claiming, Nigeria is claiming that Binance intentionally drove down the value of the Nigerian currency. And the reason they're doing this is because Nigeria actually has the second largest per capita crypto using demographic in the world. The only country that per capita has more crypto users is India. So it's India and Nigeria, who are actually some of the largest adopters of crypto technology. And Nigerians started to adopt crypto technology because of massive inflation caused by their governments. And so, in just the past recent years, the Wall Street Journal reports that Nigerians have experienced an inflation rate of 30%. And so, because Nigerians have been experiencing this massive inflation rate, they have fled to cryptocurrency. And so because they fled to cryptocurrency, now the Nigerian government, due to their really their faults, their mistakes, their screw-ups, them screwing over their citizens by printing and printing and printing more dollars and spending money they don't have, are now trying to blame Binance for causing their country's problems. They're saying that it's Binance's fault that their citizens would rather hold cryptocurrency than hold Nigerian currency. Oh, yep, there you go. Pops actually, there'll also be a lot of fake accounts pretending to be censored, trying to trick you into projects or losing your money. Absolutely. That's why, if you want to talk to me, the only way to talk to me is through the ticket system. Right here, submit a ticket. If you do that, you're talking to me. If you're not talking to me there, it is not me, guys. It's not me. If I am talking to you via email, via text message, via anything besides this ticket system, it is not me, and it never will be me, because I am not willing to risk a system where people could potentially get tricked. So if you come here, we don't have anything to worry about. And Pops, I appreciate you jumping in with that tip. That was definitely a good one. I would actually love to have you jump in and talk about this this whole fiasco, but maybe we'll talk about that one over on the original Mark Z, because this is one of those situations where we see the government is trying to pin the blame on cryptocurrency. They're saying it's crypto's fault, when in all honesty, remember from our lesson on Satoshi Nakamoto and where crypto came from, Satoshi created Bitcoin because of exactly what the Nigerian government has done. That's why it exists. Cryptocurrency exists because our governments and our corporations cannot be trusted with our money. And so we would rather trust computers with our money than our governments. That is the reason it exists. And right here we see the Nigerian government making the same mistake. And now, because cryptocurrency has become so powerful, they're going to try to use it as the scapegoat for their own mistakes, which I guess is convenient. I suppose that is convenient. All right. Just like Biden is trying, Pop saying, just like Biden is trying to tell us Putin is responsible for our inflation, they need a scapegoat. It's the same thing. I wouldn't be surprised, Pops, if we don't see in the near future our government blaming cryptocurrency. You know, Biden's going to probably come out in absolutely no time and say that it's cryptocurrency is the reason Bidenomics aren't working. It was cryptocurrency. That's what did it. Of course, it's not my own terrible political and financial policies. Never. It's definitely big, bad, evil Bitcoin. That currency that's never done anything wrong to anybody. That's the one. Not the one that all of these governments control and print at their own discretion. Yeah, it will be. And it's sadly, I think we should go ahead and start placing bets on that one, because I'm not a gambler, but I darn sure like getting free money. So all right, the Dinkin upgrade. So the Dinkin upgrade was an Ethereum mainnet upgrade. A lot of people have been looking forward to this. This article will be included, and what it's talking about is the technological improvements that occurred for layer 2 solutions. I'm not going to dive into this one because we have not gotten to the point in terms of our basics that I have taught for the average viewer to be able to go through this. These are complicated. We're going to work towards them. We're going to make it, guys. But for now, I'm just going to include this in the links so that people are capable of checking it out. All right, though. And so for our last little thing, and so I had a person or two ask about this one, and this is going to be a separate video, but I wanted to let people that were on the live see this one as I actually go through and do it. And so what we're going to do right now is we're actually going to take a Ledger hardware wallet, and we are going to connect our Ledger hardware wallet to a decentralized exchange. And so we are going to do that by linking our hardware wallet with Metamask. This is not overly complicated, and we're not going to dive deep into it, but I had been asked a few times on the last stream and in the comments to show people how this is done. So I would not recommend everyone jump in and do this immediately. It's not necessary for most of what you do, but I'm going to show everyone so that people are aware. And I'm also going to include this link inside of the description. So, assuming you have got your hardware wallet in your hand and you have plugged it into the computer and you have downloaded Metamask. Metamask is a hot wallet. Metamask allows you to connect to any individual decentralized application or crypto website through your wallet. And so examples of this would be things like Uniswap or PancakeSwap on the Binance Smart Chain or 1inch for Ethereum. There are also countless other different cryptocurrencies and decentralized applications where you can log in using a hot wallet. And so, assuming you have downloaded MetaMask and you have your hardware wallet and you would like to connect your hardware wallet to MetaMask in order to go out and maybe make a purchase on Uniswap, all you're actually going to do is you're going to come up to this little arrow up here at the top now that it's pulled down, and you're going to come down to where it says right here, add account or hardware wallet. You're going to click add hardware wallet, and that's going to open you up into the full screen. Once you have gotten to this full screen option, you're going to want to make certain that you have gone ahead and logged into your ledger, which I need to do real quick because mine has timed out. So going through real quick, guys. Unfortunately, I have never found a way to keep this thing live all the time, but I have gotten awfully good at memorizing my passcodes. So we are logged in now, and we have got a ledger hardware wallet. So we're going to click on ledger, and we are going to click continue. And you'll see right here, we actually had Nano S Plus paired pop up as a HID device. So we're going to click connect. And what we're now going to see is we're actually going to see our Ledger hardware wallet. And so this is mine. I already know that the last 4 digits are correct, but if you have any questions on yours, navigate to your Ledger Live and actually go to your account, click receive, continue, and look, we now have our wallet address. Look, we have A8DC. So we know that is the right address. We come back over here, A8DC. Perfect. Perfect. All we would then do is go ahead, click on it, and click unlock. I, unfortunately, cannot click that button for you guys because I already have with all of my wallets. They've all actually been connected already, guys. So if you are going to that point, though, you would just click unlock at this point, and you would then have it actually inside of your MetaMask. And so now when you are utilizing your MetaMask and say you go to a platform like Uniswap, and so we will just navigate there very quickly, guys, and we will launch app, and you will see that my wallet is connected. A8DC is connected to Uniswap. So my Ledger hardware wallet, which is in my lap, which I have to validate transactions with, is now connected to a decentralized finance exchange. From this point, what I can do is I can actually go through and I could swap into something else. And so I could come in here and I could swap from my hardware wallet. It never left my hardware wallet. I could now swap on a decentralized exchange. So I could go straight in here and say I want to wrap this, and I would be able to go ahead and do so. So for all of those that were curious on that one, I know that this is more of a very simple and quick run through for it, but I promised I would. And so I was not going to fall short of my promises in that regard. So you are capable of taking this Ledger hardware wallet and this is something we're going to be diving into a lot, guys. We have jumped in a little above our heads with today's lesson, but that's not a bad thing. We're just setting the ground, and you, by doing this, are able to validate transactions on your Ledger hardware wallet. So now I could come in here and I could even say I don't want to do that. So I reject the transaction. I can come in here and I could take currency from my wallet and I could choose to send it somewhere else. And what I would then have to do is actually utilize, and so you'll see here, prior to clicking confirm, please be sure your ledger is plugged in and to select the Ethereum app. So by making this connection between my hardware wallet and MetaMask, I now have made it to where my MetaMask wallet requires my Ledger hardware wallet in order to make a transaction. This is the safest way by far to operate on decentralized finance because I am now connected to Uniswap with my Ledger hardware wallet. But Uniswap doesn't have my secret phrase, doesn't have access to me. Uniswap right now is interacting with MetaMask. MetaMask is interacting with me. And so I am now capable of operating on decentralized finance without actually exposing my information. Guys, this one is going to be huge for the learning at some point in time. We are absolutely jumping ahead. This was a caveat to throw in at the end of the stream because some folks had asked. And so do not worry in the slightest if this is not something that you are, that you directly need or something you need to run out and practice. You do not need to run out and practice this. But we will be in the future learning more and more about what is possible to do by taking your Ledger hardware wallet and connecting it to a hot wallet. So guys, I could honestly talk about this one forever. If gas fees were a little bit lower, I'd probably start sending crypto all over the place to show you just how it looks to utilize a hardware wallet. But I promise, guys, it is no big deal. You just go through the process we did. So as one quick recap, we got MetaMask. We have our Ledger hardware wallet. We clicked the little arrow. We clicked add hardware wallet. We clicked add hardware. And then we clicked Ledger, clicked continue, clicked Nano S Plus, clicked connect. And bada bing, bada boom, we just made a hardware wallet into whatever we want it to be. We can now go out there and buy penny stocks in terms of cryptocurrencies. We can go out there and we can stake our crypto on MakerDAO and on different platforms. We can go do anything that we need to. And so, guys, I will be going through and making this little tutorial that I just did live for y'all into a recorded video. So there will be more in-depth knowledge during that recording than I just provided, but I wanted to be able to let folks that are following along with all the live streams, if y'all want to go out there and earn extra credit and learn a little bit faster, then yeah, I would at least give that opportunity. And so this is extremely cool. And so it actually is unwilling to load my Ledger, by the way, guys, because my Ledger once again timed out. But so all you would do is have your Ledger logged in. You'd click the button. You'd verify your last four, and bada bing, bada boom. You have just managed to take a hardware wallet and allow it to be utilized for decentralized finance, which I'm a huge supporter of decentralized finance. It is very, very big to me. So, guys, thank you so much for tuning in today. We will once again be jumping back on Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, but as another announcement, there will be a video releasing this weekend. So for those that are interested, there will be, at the minimum, there will be a Coinbase video releasing, a shortened, more concentrated tutorial and review on Coinbase for certain will be coming out this weekend. Fingers crossed. There will also be a Uphold tutorial and review coming out this weekend. So I really hope that Uphold lets me go ahead and do that. Unfortunately, if Uphold would just go ahead and figure out what their problem is with my account, I would be able to promise you guys that video. I unfortunately cannot promise it, but I am going to do everything in my power to make not only the Coinbase video come out this weekend, but also the Uphold video. So everybody, thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Today we went pretty long, but today's lesson is a tough one. And do not feel bad when it comes to the crypto mining. Come and look through all the links that are about to go up inside of the Discord. I think with a little bit of maybe osmosis or something. What is it they say when you sleep with the book under your pillow or something? I remember being a joke from back in school. Maybe with just some time with it, it'll start to make sense. But ultimately, between the different articles and links that I'm going to provide for everyone today, you should be able to get through to at least understanding the basics. And that's really what you need. You don't need to be able to go out there and explain in scientific terms how these things work. What you need to be able to do is understand how to safely use them and understand what the people whose job it is to use them are doing. What are they doing? What service are they providing me? Why do I care about what the miners think? And in all honesty, you care about what the miners think in the same way that you would care if you were a gold and silver investor and what gold and silver mines were telling you. If gold and silver mines were telling you that their production got cut in half and you were a gold and silver investor, you would appreciate what the miners have to say. It's the same idea for us over here in cryptocurrency. We have to think about what they tell us because it could influence our assets. So thank you guys so much. HK, you explained everything well, Sester. It's starting to get easier. Oh, I appreciate that, HK. It's going to get easier and easier and easier for everyone that sticks around, doubles down. We're going to get all of this together, I promise. David, thank you so much for coming in, as always. And yep, you are definitely winning on attendance and apples. Maybe I'll make you an Apple cryptocurrency, David. I'll have to go make that for you real quick, and I'll send it over. Send you some Apple tokens someday. Starbright, thanks. I look forward to a video on Metamask. Starbright, that is how I will go about it. Definitely, I will put together that video, the one that you just kind of watched, with me going through Metamask real quick. But what I'll do is I'll actually create a Metamask, connect a Ledger hardware wallet to it, and do it all in a concentrated form. So absolutely Starbright, because there are great other hot wallets out there, but Metamask is my go-to. I know for Jeremy, he loves Zerion. I love Zerion too. I've just used Metamask for so long that I'm kind of biased. But thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Look forward to videos this weekend that will be pre-recorded. If not, I will be back 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday with another crypto lesson. So y'all have a great weekend and a great evening, guys. Thank you so much.